and welcome to this video. Welcome to Chita Diaries. Welcome to the month of September officially. Okay, we have a new series with regards to my Chita chats for my subbies, and yeah, like it's a whole new month. This month, I wanted to focus on uh mental health chats, but I won't put mental health chats in the title because I know how off-putting it can be to some people. I don't like sometimes it's kind of cringy. So yeah, that's basically what this month's series is going to be about. I'll talk about a whole bunch of different things, but essentially, I just wanted to share some of my experiences because I have grown as a person over the past couple of decades. Like I have had to do a lot of work on myself. And I wanted to share some of those experiences, some of those life hacks. Yeah, and just have a chit chat as what this whole year's series has been with regards to my introspective videos. And this is me trying to get into the groove of things. Like I usually, for those who are new, I film like a new series pretty much within a span of a day or 2 days. Like I bulk record and then I publish them. Like I set them or schedule them to publish during the course of the month. So it's been a while since I've sat down. And I'm always rusty in the first one, but we shall try. And yeah, today's video. Today's video, I am focusing specifically on people pleasing. I know like that's again something else that's kind of sometimes it's cringy, sometimes it's hilarious because we like to joke about, what it's like to be a people pleaser. There's so many memes, so many funny videos about being a people pleaser. But in all seriousness, like in all seriousness, you guys, sometimes people pleasing can really fuel really, really bad insecurities that can stay with the person for many, many years, which was the case for me. Okay. Which was the case for me. And I have overcome it, or at least I'm still working on myself, but I've come a long way. Let me tell you something, I've come a long way as a people pleaser. And yeah, that's what today's video is about. Let me get into the groove of things. And yeah. Oh, by the way, no, you know what? Let me not distract myself. Like here, I'm avoiding the main topic because it's kind of uncomfortable. I was about to comment on my lipstick. Yes, we're trying brown this month, and I'm wearing green. Look at me. I am distracting myself. I'm wearing green. I do not necessarily like the color green, but it's slowly growing on me. I feel like it complements my undertones, and green is also the official color for mental health awareness. So yeah, I thought I would be on theme. And yes, this brown is a really nice nude, though it's kind of drying. This is Shodo. I know I'm rambling, but this is Shodo in the shade Kalahari. I don't know, man. So you can be saying, man, I don't know, girl or guy. But yeah, it's a really nice color, but the formula isn't the best. But I will wear it for the course of this month. And yeah, let me get back into the topic. People pleasing. Where do I begin? So in my case, I feel like my people pleasing began as a result of me being someone who was a beneficiary of privilege. And I'm going to expand on that. So for those who are new, I am Zambian. It's a like I feel like I'm actually tired of saying Zambia is a country in Southern Africa. It is a beautiful country. I always endorse my country, but yes, it's a small Southern African country. We are a majority Black nation, and it's a very conservative place. We have a lot of problematic society issues that I wonder if we're ever going to heal from or deal with. I feel like every time I think things are getting better, they really aren't. Like real life will show you flames. But yes, I live in a majority Black country, and regardless, okay, so like I'll begin with the main thing. I'll begin with the main thing. I have been categorized as, when I was younger, I was a cute kid, you know for the most part, it was because of the color of my complexion. I did a video about being objectified ages ago because of the color of my skin. Like that's like I'm just keeping it 100. I know in the States or the West, I would be categorized as dark skinned, but where I'm from, I'm not necessarily light skinned, but people would, yeah, like people would say I have a light complexion. Yeah, so that in itself, put me in a place where definitely experienced certain levels of pretty privilege from a very young age, all the way growing up. And aside from that, there were just like socioeconomic issues that worked in my favor. I grew up in a two-parent household, and even though they were working class, we were okay. Like we weren't like okay. By the time I was born and coming around, I know before that, like with my older siblings, like yeah, they definitely went through the struggle. They did, but by the time I was coming around, or by the time I was able to remember stuff, like we were okay. Like we were in a far better situation than we were before. And then sometimes, and I'll give this first story time. I'll give this first story time of how I would have like cousins and the like who would come and visit during the school holidays. Like it's a very very common thing. I don't know if it still happens with our generation because it's now our generation who are parents and the like. But yeah, I know back in the day it was very common for like your cousins from different towns and the like to come and visit you, or you would go visit somebody else. I remember this one particular school holiday. I must have been like, I think I was 7, either 6 or 7, and I had cousins come over from the rural area and the like, and like I was really happy. I was really happy to have them over because like they were bigger than me. I remember them being the bigger kids, and I looked up to them and everything. And in that moment, like when I look back, you know, and I will say this about privilege: when someone else is being put on a pedestal, the other people are always the victims. Like yes, they might react to it, but hurt people, if you know what I mean. So I remember my cousins coming over. I was really excited. I would show them around. It's just because I had like neighborhood friends would go hang out. I'd be like, these are my cousins. Like I remember introducing them by name because why wouldn't I introduce them by name? So I think there must have been like 3 girls who came over during that school holiday. I think there was 3 of them. Like there must have been at least 3. And the adults who were present, and again, like I don't think like it was my parents who said the things. No, like I don't think it was them, but it was the other grown-ups. I think maybe the grown-ups who brought them, the grown-ups who like the other grown-ups who are living at like I don't even know, fam. But bottom line is, yeah, because like I was very young, so I only remember certain details. The bottom line is they were victims in the way in which they were treated when they showed up. Like people were telling them, oh, this is your cousin, like I, like this is horrible, but yes. Like so like when they were saying this is your cousin, they're referring to me like, oh, like she can speak English, you guys can't. So where I'm from, like English is the national language, and then there's like is it 72 or 73 dialects or like local languages, from different tribes, but essentially, like the main official language is English. So anyways, so if you basically want to make it in any aspect, if you want an education, etc, whatnot, like you need not speak English, of course, and like a local language, like that's always that's vital, it's necessary, but for the most part, okay, for the most part, yeah, you need English. So like it was obviously being said in a condescending way, and I remember, even though I was really really young, I felt very very uncomfortable about it because I felt like I was being put into a situation where my cousins were going to, I don't know, like dislike me. Like I knew even in that moment that it was 3 against 1, and the adult who was saying this didn't realize what they were doing, and I was younger than them and smaller and everything. But they're just like, no, like be like her. She can speak English. Learn from her while you're here, and even just certain things they'll bring up a whole bunch of random, just like the kind of nitpicky and putting me or placing me, on a pedestal, be like her or emulate her because she's better than you. Like that's basically what they were telling my cousins, I remember that aspect of this story. And then I now, like, take them out to go meet my neighborhood friends. And I'm like, hey, these are my cousins, blah, 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 blah. I remember one of them who was like the older one, the most outspoken. Like, she was clearly miffed about this whole situation. And in her defense, like, she was probably dragged to the city to go on this holiday. And then she shows up and she's being insulted, like, in her defense. Like I get where she was coming from. So she obviously turned on me and then used every opportunity to, I don't know, like, bring me down or just put me in my place or just make me feel bad because she was made, you know, to feel bad first, if that makes sense. So I remember us playing at etc. Whatnot. I remember like the a whole bunch of microaggressions coming my way, and then like the big show of it all was when she was just in a mood where sorry, I'm rambling. Whew, but yes, she was just like in a bad mood that day. Like, I think I don't know what had gone down, but it's like she had enough, and then she decided to just, I don't know, like, do something and kind of bully me with the other cousins. I remember, like, we're outside. It was the evening. This I remember. This I remember. And she was like, so like it was her with like the other cousins, rallying behind her. And in their defense, this is the thing. I've also been in situations where if you're in the presence of a bully, if you go against them or if you defend somebody, you feel like you will also be attacked. So you always side with the bully for your own safety, if you know what I mean. So my other cousins who were super chill, super nice, they just sided with her because I think, like, in the grand scheme of things, like, it was a smart thing to do because they were going back to the rural area together. So, like, you might as well side with the person who you're going to spend more time with. And I just remember her gagging up against me, and she was like basically bullying me and talking about how, and she got upset over something so silly, like, it didn't make sense. So I knew that it was just her trying to release, whatever anger she had. And she's just like, why are you, like, telling strangers what my name is? And I was like, fam, like, we're playing, and then my friends, like, I was introducing you as my cousin, like, how else should I have done that? And she's like, no, like, don't tell anybody what my name is. Like you should have asked for my permission before telling people what my name is, and don't go around telling people my business, blah blah blah. But it was just a situation where she, I don't know, like, now was just like drilling it in on me, like the whole, like, who do you think you are, like your trash type of scenario. Thankfully, one of my older sisters was home because she used to go to boarding school, and she was home, and for some reason, on that big day, like, I think she heard them or she saw me crying or something, but she found out what had happened and she dealt with them. I have no idea what she told them, but the point is, after she got involved, like, they didn't mess with me for the rest of the holiday and it was super chill. But I learned something from that. I learned something from that. And I don't know, like, I think that's like the first experience I can think back to that really instilled fear in me. Like, that cousin taught me a lesson, and I did meet her later on in life. And like this is the thing, like, we're super chill. I think the next time I met her, we were in our mid 20s, and like, I didn't bring that up. Like, I have no beef with her. I'm just using this story to kind of, yeah, I don't know, like I'm trying to give you, like, like some origin to what I'm talking about. So me and her were super cool. Like, it's not something that I have beef with her over. It's just an experience that I had as a kid, and I realized, what had happened in that scenario, and then I moved on from that. So yeah, that's like one example. And then, yeah, like I said, going, forward, I would be someone who, like, someone in a position of power or influence or whatever would say something and talk about me to others or just make other people feel bad and put me in a place where I was at an advantage, and then just go about their day. And then I'll be left with people who I actually like, people who I want to relate to, people who I want to hang out with. And then I'd always be left feeling really, really anxious. Like, it's something that I dealt with a lot as a kid. And something that I just was in, like that fear was instilled within me, and that's my origin story of becoming a doormat. Like, I know I use that specific example, but yes, like, I need to give an example so that we could flow with this story. I don't know if you're following. I don't know if you're following, but yes, let's carry on. So with that being said, there were just so many other scenarios. Like we end up being here for like 3 hours. If I gave, every single story time that comes to mind, but that's essentially, what it was. So it would be that. Sometimes it would be the fact that, again, like I was in a two-parent household where it was my parents who were living there. Sometimes I won't get too specific on this one, but there were just certain times where I would feel really, really awkward, where I would go out of my way to try and, be relatable in certain scenarios with a multitude of people who came through and lived with us, if you know what I mean. But I always felt a certain kind of way where I felt guilty because I knew that I was the one who was better off. I wasn't better than, but sometimes I was just better off. And it made me feel bad because I wanted people to like me, but I was afraid that they might resent me, if you know what I mean. And that continued on. Now, let's fast forward to my teen years, and I will give another example. So that's outside of family. Now, like I'll talk about friends. Okay, I'll talk about friends. And I will expand on this certain aspect where it comes to boys or just men and how problematic that is and how that really, really fuels like just a lot of conflict and negativity in friend spaces. But yes, let me give you this second story time or example where so I went to a boarding school for grades 8 and 9, or eighth grade, ninth grade, where I met some people, we became friends. Like it was like it was really nice. It was good friendships that I had, and then I moved on like in grade 10 to like a different school. But then when I went to college, I met a lot of my really close friends from grade 8 and 9, if that makes sense. So by the time I was in college, I was like 16 going on, like I turned 17 that year. And then like my best friends from boarding school were there. I remember meeting up with them. I was so happy to see them. It had been years. This is before, we had social media. This was 2009. Okay, we did have social media, but I don't think we had WhatsApp. Like it's not like I could, keep up with my friends after I left boarding school in 2005. So it's like seeing them physically was like the only way that I could, like reunite with them and the like. So that's what happened. Sorry, my nose was itchy. But yes. So we reunite in college, right? And I'm super psyched. Like there are two particular girls who I really, really got on with. Like I still have pictures of us. Like I have snaps that the local photographer would come. Like we had someone who would come and take like physical pictures of us during weekends and would pay for them and everything. Like I still treasure those memories and the like. But yeah, there were two particular girls who I really, really liked. Were roommates and everything, and I meet them in college, right? We see each other like we're psyched, we hug each other, it's been so nice, blah, 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 blah. Let's meet up. I wasn't a boarder, but I think one of them was a boarder. And they're like, oh, actually, like, there's a whole bunch of us who've come, to this college. Like, we should just meet up and hang out during lunch one of these days. So I go meet up with them, right? And like, this story, like, still upsets me to this day. I was so psyched to be reunited with my friends, okay? And we go hang out, right? And then I met some like some of the guys from our grades, okay, from our grade from boarding school were there. Like I met them, it was all vibes. Hi, how you been? Blah 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 blah. And then we sit down and we hang out, and then they began to say like offensive things, like offensive toward the other girls. Like like so not all of them, but I remember like one guy passed a comment where I think it was time to eat. And I don't know what we were eating, but one of them was like, "Oh, like don't serve Chitalo that. Like she's too bougie for that." Like in that moment, you guys, like I was ill. Like I was actually ill, and I was looking at him like, why would he say that in the presence of my other female friends? Because obviously that's insulting to them. And I remember saying something like no, like why would you say that? Obviously, like I eat this, I enjoy it, like whatever. Like let's move on. But then I think one comment was passed, like a second comment was passed where like I think by the time somebody had said something the third time, kind of putting me on a pedestal against, my ex friends or my ex schoolmates, the energy had shifted. It had shifted, you guys. And I could tell. like that ruined it for me. And I was so mad because I really wanted those friends. Okay, I really wanted those friends for some reason, anyways. And after that whole situation, I understood why some of them didn't want to hang out with me anymore. Like the next time I saw them, like the energy had just changed. Like I'd meet them in the corridors and I'd be like, hey, but there was no enthusiasm. Now I had their phone numbers. I think I'll try and like there was one who stayed my friend, but obviously because she was part of that group, they had gone all the way up to grade 12 together. Like they were close and everything. Like to this day, like she's the only person from that school who like I chat with. Like we still follow each other on Instagram and everything. Like we aren't friends, but like we were chill with each other. Like even after that experience, but of course I couldn't like force myself on her anymore. But yeah, like the energy had shifted, and I'm like, those mother effers like really ruined that for me. Like the guys, anyways. So that's another example. And again, that would just fuel this, you know, need to want to please people, but then they shut it down. So those girls shut it down. They're like, we don't want to hang out with this girl. Like, no, thank you. Like, we can't be in an environment with her where people are saying all sorts of random stupidity and making us feel bad about ourselves. I understood that. Okay. Second example. Let me fast forward to work now. Being in a working environment, okay, in this our beloved country, Zambia. Because, like I said, again, I briefly mentioned on me having like a light complexion and how, yeah, that sometimes might put me on a pedestal because the environment I am in, the environment that I live in is extremely colorist, And like there's one very recent example that I will give. Last story time for this video. Last story time. I went for like this company retreat. It was like a week long situation. Okay, like it was like more like 4 days, but still like pretty much a week. And I work for a very big company, and there's certain people who I just know via email and the like, and by the way, I'm talking about women. If you didn't guess, I'm talking about women who just like they just inspire me, you guys. Like just from my interaction with them over the phone, via Teams meetings, like online meetings, or just in emails, just the way in which they handle situations, or maybe yeah, like maybe I've just experienced them in like in an online meeting, or if I'm asking for help over the phone or via email. Like there's certain people who I was really looking forward to meeting in person, because like I work for a countrywide organization, so like you don't get to see everybody all the time. Like you just know them, through emails and the like. So I was really looking forward to meeting certain people. Honestly, I was. But unfortunately, where I work, like there isn't a balance of men and women in my department. Like it's like more men, like drastically more men than they are women. So that in itself is a problem for us women, because when okay, from my experience, when I go out for retreats and the majority are Zambian men, and look at me like shading my employers, but like I'm just telling you the truth. They tend to be like they're very free with themselves. They don't care what they say. They pat each other on the back. Like they can say the most outrageous, most problematic things, and nobody's going to check them because they're in the majority, if you know what I mean. So again, I go to this retreat, right, looking forward to meeting some people. There was one particular woman, oh my gosh, like my work friends know how much I admire this woman. Like she is my favorite human being in the whole institution, and she has no idea. But yeah, like I just really like she's such, I don't know, like a boss babe. Not even a boss girl. Like she's just an amazing woman. She's so accomplished and she's so nice. Like, and I couldn't wait to meet her in person. Like I'm a typically like reserved person. I won't say shy. Like people confuse me or mistake me for being shy. I'm not shy. I'm just, like reserved. Yes. But anyways, but I pumped myself up. Okay. like after that, like first introductory day, like I walked up to her and I was like, "Hi, my name is so and so. I'm from this town. I I was really looking forward to meeting you. It's so nice." Like I didn't care. Like I just threw myself at her, And she was nice. I was like, oh, like, nice to meet you, too, blah, 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 blah. She complimented my hair. She's like, oh my gosh, your hair is so nice and long, blah, blah, blah. Like, I felt good, you guys. And then the other women there as well, who I would have loved to network with, because, like, please, like, I want to connect with other women. And they're you just, yeah, like, you need allies, basically, what I mean, as a woman in the workplace. So that's me, okay? I'm there. And what happens? Okay. Ask me what happens. Like, this is so upsetting. And, like, I'll actually forward and just say that when I came back from that retreat, I remember being, like, sending my sisters, like, VNs that were 2 hours long, like, just stressed and triggered. Like, I actually felt really, really bad. I was so drained. Like, I don't know, like, it was such an exhausting and infuriating experience for me. And very, very triggering. Like, it made me feel like I needed to sign up for therapy after that, because I went there wanting to network. I wanted to, I don't know, like, I wasn't expecting what happened to me. Okay, so anyways, point is, I go there, and I was also dealing with something mentally. Like, I was going through some. Okay, like, I'll tell you what it was. Like, my mom was actually very, very sick during that week. She was on bed rest. Like, she had like a major health issue that came up, and back then she was a relatively healthy person. So it came as a surprise to me. Like, it was like a big deal. So I would rush to my room. Couldn't really rush, but, like I wasn't socializing afterwards, because I wanted to just greet her, like, hear her voice, hear how she was doing. Like I was already dealing with that mentally. Oh, and this was like during the pandemic. Like, I had friends who had lost their parents and everything. Like, it was just like it was kind of stressful. Though it wasn't COVID, but it was a different type of health scenario where, like I wasn't myself. Like, I didn't have time to be socializing with people after that. Like, I wanted to go to my room. Like I just wasn't in the mood to be merry and everything. Like, I was kind of drained. And then there'd be these after meeting hangs and everything, and like I didn't want to be a part of that. And then some people mistook it as me being stuck up, or playing hard to get. Anyways, it was just a mess. It was a mess, you guys. And it got to a point where, day one, we're in a meeting, like, it's a whole conference room. And then I think one person singled me out in an example, called me pretty or something, or used me as like a example of somebody who's pretty. And I could tell, like, the energy shifting, like, like, whether people like it or not. Like, sometimes, there's just this inherent competition. And if someone else is being, but you know what I mean. So I could tell that already something was shifting, like, something was shifting in the energy. And then day two, somebody else did something wild, like, even just during lunch breaks. Like, I'm not trying to make myself sound like a main character. Like, I'm just telling you what happened, you guys. And I'm not saying it was every Monday. No, no, no. Like, it just takes one or two to ruin, like, the mood or the vibe in a whole environment. So I don't know. Like, someone said that someone called me pretty, like, in a work meeting. They used me as an example. Again, like, I think, I don't know, like, it's like it just kept coming up where people were asking me, like, like, why aren't you meeting up with us, blah 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 blah. And then again, like, some people, or some colleagues, some male colleagues, thought it was a challenge, because, again, like, at these work events, some people just go there to, engage in shenanigans. People are sleeping with each other and everything, and some people just thought it was a game. I don't even know, but of course, some people were getting hit on there. So the people took it upon themselves to try and hit on me, because they thought I was this person who was playing hard to get. Even though I wasn't. Like, I was genuinely sad about something else. And even if I wasn't, you know what? Let me not even use my mom as an excuse. Even if I wasn't, nothing was going to happen, fam. So, anyways, I could tell that the more attention that I got, and and this is the thing, like, it's not even like I was presenting myself in a way where, like, I looked really, really good. In fact, I was haggard, you guys. Like, there's pictures of me at that event looking haggard, because, like, I was just tired. I was barely sleeping because I was worried. Okay, like, I was stressed. I was I did not look good, so I don't know what these people were seeing. I don't know what they were seeing that was inspiring them to call me pretty and the like. But anyways, day one, that happens. Day two, day three. I remember on the last day I was supposed to take like this group photo, and then like one of the most senior people, like he says this out loud, and he called for me to show up. Like, oh, like where is Chitalo? And then like he made me stand in the middle. He made me stand in the middle, like I said, you guys, like I was haggard that week. But anyways, that was like the nail on the coffin with regards to me trying to bond. And I remember like after that, because we had like a couple of more sessions and like a meeting to hang out with, where I would now try and smile at certain people who I had greeted before, and they just didn't seem interested, like the women. And it really really upset me. Like I was so hurt. Like I can't delve too deep because this would become the 2 hour VN that I sent my sisters when I got back. But it really really hurt my feelings. It really really did, because like that whole situation like was just ruined for me. And I came back to the town where I lived and the office where I was at. But it was such a terrible experience. So anyways, I'm done with my origin stories as to why I'm a people pleaser. So now, with this background, and I guess I can call those somewhat extreme scenarios, I would now just feel very, very anxious. Like whenever I would meet somebody who I liked, women, okay, women, because I'm talking about women, I'm talking about female friendships, or even it may not even be friendship, just people who I admire. Like I always have this fear, not always, because now like I'm trying to be a better person. Oh, let me break this so that it's not too, so that I don't lose this footage. Yeah. So as I was saying, with that background, right, I ended up developing like this major major insecurity with regards to finding friends and keeping them, and I just overcompensate. So I'm someone who gathers a whole bunch of friends, and my next video will be about friendship because I need to expand on that as well. But yes, in terms of my mental health, I am someone who just panic befriends people. Like if I find someone and I like them, like I will try so hard to keep them in my life from a very, very young age. Whatever environment I find myself in, if I meet somebody and I like them, like I would end up doing the absolute most to keep them as a friend. And then sometimes I would find people who weren't good for me, but because I was so desperate for friendship, I was so desperate for somebody to like me and keep me in their life, I would let them say or do things that were harmful to me. So now let's move on to how I got to a place where I had to stop being a people pleaser. Now, because I would always find myself, not always, I have some really awesome friends who have kept in my life, and I'll talk about them in like part 2 of this series. But for those that were toxic, I would find them, think, like they're my besties or my pals, hold on to them. And then because of this background of where I've been in situations where someone might point out something about me, like it doesn't even matter. It could be my social economic standing or whatever it is, my looks, my sometimes even just my intelligence, whatever, like whatever it may be. There's so many other scenarios where someone might look at me or praise me or deem me more desirable than a friend, and I would always panic. And for the most part, if they're saying something that is hurtful towards my friend, I would feel bad and empathize with them. Like I could honestly feel bad and try and remedy the situation, and then, like because they were the victim in that scenario. Like, and I will say this: someone who gets insulted or made to feel smaller than another person is always the victim. Okay, always the victim. But then it would get to a point where, and this is the thing, I have been somebody, because like again, like I have friends who have been you know put above me in so many scenarios. Yes, I went through a phase as well where maybe I felt jealous or I felt infuriated. But something about me, though, something about me, I will pat myself on the back. Unless, I was like a bitch to somebody in the past, they're free to call me out on this. And maybe I have been a bit, like, if I think deeply, I will single out scenarios where like where I was the asshole in the situation. But for the most part, whenever I've been in scenarios, and to this day, like it still happens where I have friends who, are deemed more desirable in certain scenarios. I don't turn on them, if that makes sense. My beef is with the person who is trying to make me feel small or trying to make me feel bad, if that makes sense. But I would go through scenarios where I was constantly dealing with toxic people who would turn on me. But because I wanted to keep them in my life so badly, I would let them walk all over me like a doormat. Like I basically lived the life of a doormat for a very, very, very long time. But then the older that I got, and the more work that I did on myself, I started to question why I let myself stay in certain toxic environments, in certain toxic situations, in certain toxic friendships or relationships. I was like, I cannot, at my big age, continue to be in scenarios where I'm in friendships where somebody literally makes me feel anxious. Because it's one thing to pity somebody, but where you're now constantly making yourself small to make them feel good about themselves. Like, yes, you can be mad at a system or a situation or prejudice and the like, but if you're dealing with a person who attacks you or always makes you feel small, like that's a problem. And that's what it became in a lot of these situations, okay, where, and I don't want to give specific examples because then I don't know, like I don't want to start crying today. And it's not that deep, honestly. Okay, it is that deep, but I, like, y'all would never catch me crying on YouTube. But yes, it just got to a point where I was constantly getting my feelings hurt, like always getting my feelings hurt, where you question yourself, but then, like, I'll just tell myself to get over myself because that person was the victim. They're the victim, see things from their perspective. Someone called me pretty and made them feel ugly, like, be there for them. But then, if you can't even be free, like, if you're constantly walking around eggshells with the person, that is a problem. Because now, like, you always make yourself feel small. And then and what was that? Sorry, like something, was moving in my shower. But I'd like to give credit to certain people who I met later on in life. So I became friends with people, or maybe even just other people would notice certain friends who are not good for me and would point them out, or just acquaintances and the like, and be like, this person isn't good for you. Or they'll notice certain traits within me. And I have a friend, like, she's still my friend, who noticed this in the workplace. And, like, kudos to you. Like, I won't say your name, but if you're watching this, like, you know who you are. And she's been telling me for a long time that I need to stop making myself, small. Like, I'm someone who, I don't know. If someone gives me a compliment, like if somebody compliments me, I'm always like, oh, no, 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 like that's not true. Like, I'm not that great, blah blah blah. Like, I'm that sort of person who always try and downplay a compliment to make people around me feel okay. And sometimes I don't even need to do that in certain environments because people are chill, like they're good. But I just panic. I panic. I'm like, oh my gosh, no, 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 no. Or at least I used to. I used to when I was younger, but now I'm in my 30s. I'm doing better. Like, I'm trying to, walk with my head up high. And yeah. Okay, this has been draining. Oh my God. It's been so draining. But I hope somebody who's watching this, who has lived the life of a doormat, can learn from this. Because it's when you're the person who's benefiting from privilege, you can't talk about these things, okay? Because at the end of the day, you have the option, like, if you walked away from that friendship or relationship, like, you're still good, if you know what I mean. Like, if you're with somebody, how do I put this? It's like, if if someone thinks you're pretty or cute or whatever, right, versus somebody else, and you're in that friendship, and you could try as much as you want to, downplay yourself and the like, But if you feel like you're sick and tired of, this particular friend putting you down or making you feel bad about yourself, like like ultimately, you still have the option, even if you leave that friendship, to continue to be deemed as pretty. You know what I mean? So it's not like you're taking that much of an L versus somebody who has deep insecurities, or maybe somebody who is pointed out by society as being undesirable. You know what I mean? Like for them, like they're stuck in that situation, if that makes sense. So that's why it's difficult for people who are enjoying privilege to talk about these things. So yeah, but then again, if it's affecting your mental health, which it did to me for a very, very long time, where I was dealing with people who were just like, they were so rude and they were so hurtful and so mean. Like, I needed to let go of that because, like it was eating at me. It really was. And I would always be this person who would pity them because at the end of the day, it was low key pity when they didn't want to be pitied. And it took me growing up and realizing that the people who I was feeling sorry for, the people who I was trying to hold on to, they didn't want my pity. They didn't want my pity. I would get hurt so many times, but I feel like even the older that you get, like the less tolerance that you have for certain things. So maybe it just sorry for like spitting, but maybe it just took me, needing to grow up and realizing that, yeah, my tolerance levels, like for getting like walked all over, were reducing because the same people, and that's something else about people who are victims. I know people who, yes, who've been in scenarios where they're treated badly and the like, but they don't hurt other people. Okay, big ups to them. And there's some people who hurt other people or just speak so strongly against, a system that's working against them. But then once they're in a position where maybe they've done something about it or things have changed for them, and people are now treating them the way they treated people who they despised, all of a sudden that system is okay. And that's something else that made me wake up because I would see people who would get mad where maybe I'm in a scenario where someone is, I don't know, like someone is favoring me in a friend group, whatever. And then maybe they go somewhere else and then they experience someone being polite to them and treating like their other friends like crap just because maybe that like the guys there don't like the other, and then they think it's okay. They're they're just like, what? um I don't know what these people are complaining about. I'm okay. People like blah blah blah. But I don't know if you get what I mean. It could also be issues of like, like privilege or nepotism, right? That's something else. Nepotism. I've seen people who swear up and down at how nepotism is so bad, blah 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 blah. In the workplace, huh? They will swear up and down. But then if they get the opportunity, to be given a position and the like purely based on nepotism, all of a sudden, okay, all of a sudden it's okay. And then, yeah, so like I said, like I kept seeing these things unfold. And then I was able to realize, and just categorize certain people who I wanted to keep in my life and certain people who I did not. And I'm going to close off with this video. And yeah, I guess that's pretty much how I decided, or how I grew out of being a doormat. Sorry, this has been so random, but yes, I began to realize that for a lot of people who are quote unquote, okay, not quote unquote, who are, I shall remove the air quotes because like it's just like a matter of fact. For a lot of people who are victims, okay, they sometimes, okay, sorry, I said a lot. For some people who are genuinely victims, some of them are like they are bad people. It's just that they happen to be, victims in that scenario. But if the tables were turned, like they're actually bad people who you don't need in your life, because when the tables turn, they would do absolutely nothing to, be against, a system that was against them in the past. They would just, I don't know, like further fuel it, defend it, and, support it when it favors them. And that's like a very, very ugly thing to do, honestly, truly. And yes, and then two, yeah. Okay, sorry. Like I need to wrap up this video. It's so long. I'm so sorry. But like 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 we always, see on this channel, like part one of my series is always rusty. But yes, I realize that at the end of the day, um, the people who are extremely spiteful towards me, like they didn't care whether I was nice to them or not. That's like, yes, so that's the second thing that I came to realize. I was doing the absolute most to make myself small, thinking that it was making my friends feel better when it wasn't. Whether I reached my, like I made myself reach, the ground and laid there and had them walk all over me, like it didn't change things. It didn't change the fact that they despised me. And that's something else that you have to realize, that like you have to assess certain people. And sometimes like you never know until you hear them say something to somebody else. And oh my gosh, that's always a blessing when somebody tells on somebody else saying something bad about you. Like that's always a blessing. Like whenever I hear what somebody is truly saying about me or thinking about me, I'm just like, thank you, God. Thank you for showing me who my ops are. So yes, I went through certain friendships and scenarios where I thought, we were on the same level emotionally, like our bond was pure, we're truly friends. Yes, they'll complain about certain scenarios, but then I got to hear from other people. Or sometimes, like I'll deal with people who have outbursts or who would just say something, backhanded. And I realized that, oh, this person actually despises my existence, but they keep me around for one reason or another that's beneficial to them. So they're not even my friend. I irritate, like my existence irritates them, my privilege irritates them, whether I make myself small, whether I do things that are even harmful to me or detrimental to me to appease them, they do not care. They actually despise me. But I realized that as well. I was just like, you know what? I ain't trying to be a doormat anymore. I would take myself to places and friendships and relationships where people are kind, people actually like me and they want me. And of course, like there's conflict in any relationship, but if it's starting to feel toxic, or if you feel like you're always second guessing what you're doing, like you're walking on eggshells, like you have to overthink everything before you interact with a certain friend, ask yourself why. And if it's a friend who's constantly complaining about their lives, constantly complaining about the situation, where you now have to make yourself small to make them feel better about themselves, how do they, um, react when you tell them good news about yourself? Even just like the smallest of good news. Is it always something that pisses them off? Like the smallest of good things, like the smallest of achievement, like if everything, anything good that happens to you irritates them, fam, like it's time to move on. It's time to let go of that person. If like literally anything positive happens to you, like they always have to belittle it. You're doing something good, you're doing any achievement, like they have to belittle it. Yes, I know sometimes you people achieve things because of privilege, but if sometimes like guys, like you just want to celebrate a win and they have to throw something in your, like there's never been a time where they've been on your side and just supported you. It's always woe is them. Like take a step back and look at the bigger picture, like really really evaluate that friendship or relationship. Okay, and sometimes it could even be people in your family, fam. If you have someone who is just constantly dragging you down, like there's nothing good that you can do. Like they must always talk about or just complain about you. If you're able to avoid them, avoid them. Start to step back, and protect your peace and your mental health. And honestly, like that's, like thing that is eating you up because of being associated with because of being associated with this person, it will start to shed off, okay? And you'll live a far better life. We're done. I'm done with this video. I need sleep. It's like 2 a.m. But yes, thank you so much for watching this video. I will film some more videos like today, tomorrow, and the like. Hopefully, yeah, part 2, 3, and 4 will be more coherent. But thank you for watching this video. I hope it was beneficial to somebody. I know I was all over the place, like I say. But thank you for watching, for those of you who watch. Okay, I truly appreciate it. And I will see you in the next one.